Are you ready to break through the mental barriers holding you back? Welcome to the Mind Mastered Secrets of Excellence with Dawn Grant. Since 2001, Dawn has been guiding elite athletes like PGA Tour champions, Olympians, and world champions, and everyday individuals toward peak performance. With a proven track record, including helping Vijay Singh win the 2008 FedEx Cup, and her PGA Tour clients averaging a 219% increase in earnings. Dawn knows what it takes to succeed. She's the inventor of the Mind Mastered app, author of 7 Strokes in 7 Days, a sought-after speaker worldwide, and the proud owner of Amelia Shotgun Sports in Northeast Florida. Join us as we dive into powerful strategies, inspiring interviews, and Dawn's unique insights to help you excel in every area of your life, sports, career, relationships, and beyond. And now, here's your host, Dawn Grant.
Hey folks, welcome to the Mastermind Secrets of Excellence. This is Dawn Grant. I appreciate you following me and for all your great feedback, and for all you listeners that have really enjoyed and given me, the high fives for introducing so many great people to you all and great information. And today, I'm super excited to have Amanda Thebe, and she's a fitness and women's health expert and one of the originals in Canada. She has a best-selling book. She's been on many podcasts. Her information's been featured on shows like Oprah and Shape and Prevention. Really awesome stuff. So thank you for being here, Amanda. I really appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here, Dawn.
Can you give a little snippet, a little highlight, a little bit more than what I just did? Like, why do people want to listen to this podcast? What will they get out of it?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I've been in sort of the health and wellness space for most of my adult life, like 35 years coming up. And as a woman who, my specialty was in human physiology, nutrition, and I felt like I had a really good handle on what would happen to the human body in different circumstances. I have specialty training in things like athletics, sports performance. So I've worked with some, athletic teams like in the NBA. I've worked with post-rehabilitation. I've worked with pre and post pregnancy. I've got like a varied sort of background in this field. But when menopause hit me like a sledgehammer, Dawn, I was taken aback. And I was taken aback because what I was experiencing didn't make sense to me from a hormonal perspective. So for myself personally, I never thought, is this to do with my hormones? Secondly, all of the medical help I was getting never suggested it was a hormonal thing. And then, when I finally found out the symptoms I was experiencing were part of perimenopause, it just made me stop and take stock and think, I have this history where I sort of have a good understanding of the human body, and this blindsided me. And we're going back 10 years now, right? When it first started happening. And so I just thought, well, if I don't know, chances are other women don't know. And so I just started talking about it. And essentially that's what led me to where I am today. I really wanted to create a space for women to be able to ask questions without judgment, to understand what this time of life meant for them from a patient standpoint, and to create communities so women didn't feel so isolated. And I think that those 3 things together have made me somewhat of a trusted voice, because there's nothing, you don't need to follow the trail and find out what I'm selling you. It's not about that. It's not about that, right?
Yeah. I love that journey that you were on. And, this podcast being about secrets of excellence. To me, it's so much more impactful and meaningful when somebody is doing what they love and what they're passionate about and what they've kind of, learned through their own experiences, rather than opening up a textbook and just studying something and then trying to regurgitate it back out. It's so much more personal to you, right? In this journey that you've been on. I'm 50. What am I? What year are we in? I'm 54. And I'm actually not even premenopausal yet. I'm actually a little surprised by that. But I have noticed changes throughout after my 40s.
So that's really interesting. We're the same age, and I have been in full menopause, so without a menstrual cycle since I was 48. Right?
That is
So
interesting, right?
right, so 6 years on, and I haven't had a menstrual cycle, which is great. I have to be honest. And then, so it's one of those really great points that you've made, that this is a shared experience that all women will go through if they're lucky to live long enough, right? So it's sort of a rite of passage, but although it's a shared experience, it can be very unique for each woman. Some women will have really severe symptoms, some will have moderate symptoms, and some will have no symptoms, right? And so it's just to me about like explaining to women why this is happening, what the symptoms can look like, and then subsequent management of them, if you want medical help, what the menopause societies are suggesting. And then, what does it look like when you're in menopause? Like, so I'm 6 years into menopause. I will be in menopause for the rest of my life. An adult woman spends more of her life in one of the menopausal states than she doesn't, statistically.
Okay. Yeah.
Because some women will potentially go into perimenopause in their late 30s, early 40s, which was me. And the average age that women live to is 81. So this it's significant. And then this postmenopausal phase, when we find that most symptoms start to reduce significantly, the low estrogen levels specifically in our body do open us up to some of the health issues and diseases that ultimately are the problem for women's health, right? So it's a very interesting conversation.
I'm a bit of a health nut myself, but to a certain degree, I mean, there's variables for that, but I find it really fascinating that, in this day and age, that you do still have to dig. Like, you have to ask for certain kinds of blood work. You have to, like, I had blood work done a few months ago, and I'm the one that noticed that she didn't pull my estrogen, right? And so I'm going back in this month for her to actually remember to pull my estrogen information. And she's actually a holistic physician. So
I don't even know what that means, because there's all different titles these days. But I will tell you what the menopause, and I'm very much in the camp, and it may be different to you, but I'm very much in the camp of, we have medical guidelines and menopause society guidelines that doctors are encouraged to follow because we know the data. And actually, when it comes to diagnosing where you are in your menopause phase, it's actually recommended that no testing is done. And the reason for that is that hormones are dynamic. So estrogen levels and progesterone levels, even though they fall and decline, may be high one day and low the next day. And it doesn't give a true picture. And so, for example, if you're a woman with really severe symptoms and they test your estrogen and it's normal, you're going to feel as though it's all in your head, or you're going crazy.
Right.
And so the doctor may be just following the guidelines. One of the tests they can do is for follicular stimulating hormone, FSH, which is in the brain, and it actually shouts to the ovaries, kick an egg out, kick an egg out. And if there's no more eggs available, it has to work harder. So when that level is higher, then it can show that you are in a menopausal state. And the reason that this is actually empowering for women rather than detrimental is because if you know that you're going to a doctor and they're helping you based on your symptoms, then you're going to get treated for your symptoms and actually the management of them. And so I don't know exactly your circumstances, but based on the guidelines from the menopause societies, she actually might be doing the right thing. Who knows?
I'm following you. And you're reminding me of something else. I guess it was a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Different doctor did a full panel of blood work, and I was a bit low in testosterone. And at that time, I'd already been listening to my sister, who was taking the testosterone pellets, and she was raving. She was like, I feel so much better. I have all this energy, all these different things. You've got to try it. And so my doctor didn't necessarily say, hey, you're low, you need these pellets or whatever, or some form of hormones if you'd like. But I'm the one that said it. And I had said, hey, my sister raves about these testosterone. So he's like, oh, well, I offer that if you're interested. And I was like, okay. So anyways, I did it. And a few months later, it was time to go back in. And they were like, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel the same. I don't really feel much different. Would you like more dose or less dose? I'm like, I don't really know. And I was a little taken back because I thought they should tell me. But every time I went in, that's what they said to me. How do you feel? How are your symptoms? I'm like, well, I haven't really noticed it. And ultimately, I came off of it because it made me a little bit agitated, and I'm a pretty laid back person. And I probably didn't even need it to begin with. But they kept putting it back. Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to know how you felt. So the testosterone is only indicated scientifically. There's Dr. Susan Davis is a professor in Australia who is the eminent researcher for decades and decades on testosterone in a woman's body in perimenopause. And it's only indicated, and they can only find benefits to do with sexual health and nothing else. And when it comes to the dosage of testosterone, there isn't an FDA approved product that's available to women outside of Australia. Australia obviously doesn't have the FDA, but they have an approved dose for a woman. But you can, some doctors might prescribe a male dose of a male product of estrogen that they would dose down. It's like about 10 times less, and that can be used for the low libido, but it shouldn't be prescribed for anything else. And so it's very interesting. I mean, I used to live in Texas, and I know a lot of women that would get testosterone pellets, and the FDA actually, and not everybody loves the FDA. I think when they do a good job of regulating hormones, they actually do a good job, and pellets aren't regulated. And I just say to women, if you choose to do that, know that you don't have the safety and the efficacy support that another product might have. And the only thing that worries me about the testosterone is sometimes it can be really adverse effects. And a pellet is if they stick it in you for 3 months, it's in you for 3 months. And if it all goes pear-shaped, you've got to stick it out. So
that's what I experienced. Yeah. And I'm really chilled, laid back. I'm like, meditate all the time. I practice what I preach, meaning like I don't really get upset about things, but my level, I could just feel like a level of agitation, and I was shorter with people. And by the time I was on the third cycle that I figured out what was causing it. I'm like, I want this thing out of me, but I had to wait it out.
You had to wait it out. So and I just think that if women understand that, then they can make choices. It's not about judgment and saying you should or shouldn't do something. I know my personal risk profile is I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole, but that's me. I'm really safe about things. I also had a terrible experience with hormones personally, even though I know a lot of women, it's a game changer for them, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, take us back a little bit. Like, so you're a health nut in some sort or another. So, in your childhood, were you into fitness, nutrition, exercise, sports, anything like that?
Yeah, it's interesting because, I probably am a health nut. I'm probably that annoying person that, when you go on holiday with a girl, she gets up early and goes for a run. And I don't want to be that annoying person, but likely I am. And I think just as a kid, I just was from a very small town in the northeast of England where there wasn't a lot happening. And I had lots of friends, etc. But I probably would have ended up just drunk every night, probably pregnant or something. I don't know. And so I knew that my mum knew that I had a lot of energy and it would be better placed somewhere else. And she suggested the karate at my local community center. And so I started doing martial arts about the age of 11, and I stopped when I was 21.
Nice.
I've actually restarted it again, but I had to take a bit of a pause because I got knocked over by a car. We don't need to talk about that, but my knees are quite sore at the moment. But I actually found it was a very good outlet for me, and I also really liked the discipline. I liked the order and the structure, and it felt really good to be fit. I always liked the way it felt, and so that was a big driver for me. I definitely didn't get sucked in, and I didn't even really see this, but the exercise to be thin, it wasn't a narrative. Maybe it was from where I was from or where I lived. I never really sort of got sucked into that until I was in my 20s, and then I really saw how women's bodies were sort of systematically pulled apart in the media, right? But for me, exercise was always just a real boost to my sort of like confidence. And, when you can fight boys, it feels really good as well.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm one of those girls. I liked, I took karate at one point, and I've always been into like learning self-defense, and I gotta even the playing field.
You do, and I also think that for all martial arts is like a very physical activity. There's a lot of sort of zen in there that didn't feel too woo-woo to me, because I never sort of got sucked into that sort of. I'm not very spiritual. I've tried and I'm not. I once went to India to go and work out with a guru for 6 months in yoga, and I just didn't get the spiritual thing. And we're all different, right? But
Yeah.
from the quiet mind standpoint of martial arts and the yoga, like not letting thoughts overtake me, I've always found that like really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. With my clients, especially the athletes that I work with, a lot of them have never even tried yoga or anything. And so when I end up recommending it, they're taken back at first. But there's some really cool things that tie over for the mental side related to yoga, and that is like a balance posture. If you're attempting to just stand on one foot, which is basically what a balance posture is. So there's different ways of doing that. Your other leg's doing all sorts of different things depending on the posture. But in order to balance, you have to have your mind totally present. And a lot of times the instructor will tell you to look at a spot on the floor or the wall or whatever. But just looking, focusing with your eyes, isn't the whole equation. Like, you have to focus with your mind also, because if you start thinking about the other person in the room that's doing better, or I don't know, your age compared to everybody else in there, or what's for lunch or what's for dinner, or a conversation you had with somebody earlier in the day, you will lose your balance. And so in order to be like in order to have the strength and the ability to hold that posture longer, you have to have a present mind. So you have to be present.
I completely agree. And I feel like that about exercise in general. I feel like if you're going to your strength workout, your yoga class, your run, your martial arts, whatever your poison, and you are so focused on what you're doing that you don't think about anything else, that's a huge benefit. And I love that it's almost like escapism, right?
It is.
But it does, I do love the way it requires an innate concentration. And it matters to me because I've openly been somebody that struggled with mental health issues, with depression, not anxiety, really, to be honest, but really depression. And being able to have clarity and focus is a huge part of treatment protocol.
For sure. Because, and people, again, another area that's not widely recognized or known is what's going on with the mind and how that affects how you feel. And so the fact of bringing your mind into the present moment, experiencing the moment for what it is, means that you're not doing things like worrying or doubting or regretting and all of that kind of misuse of your mind that can cause you to feel crappy. And so I think
it's a hard practice though. It really is. It takes time, and I think people give up because it doesn't feel it's work. It's like you're retraining your brain anyway. This mindfulness side, we know from MRI scans how it actually can rewire the brain in a sort of neuroplasticity way, and it actually helped me a lot through menopause, actually, to reframe about all of the changes that were going through my body, and that was really hard work as well.
Yeah, tell me about that a little bit. Can you think of a few examples? Because I can.
Yeah, lots of them. And I think, one of the hardest thing from having an athletic background is that I always expect a lot of myself. And when I do something, I give it all my effort, all of those things. And every time I tried to during perimenopause, I couldn't access a lot of the effort. Like chronic fatigue is one of the worst symptoms of perimenopause, I think. And I know that I would do things to my previous sort of standard and then be wiped out for days and days and days, and then just like shit and crap all over myself. Basically be like, you're a loser. you know, look at you, you're pathetic, you can't even get through the day. Like sometimes I would write a to-do list and tick one thing off, and I would just be like, why can't I do as many things as before?
Mm,
And it took a lot of work for me to just have a level of acceptance. And the acceptance is the mindfulness part. The acceptance is,
mhm,
you know, I'm comparing to my previous self, which is, you know, looking back over your shoulder, which we shouldn't be doing really. And then that
mhm,
I didn't have the anxiety of like, you know, where I didn't say, well, this is what could happen if you don't continue. I actually, for some reason, didn't struggle with that. But in the present, I remember looking at myself in the mirror, not being impressed with what I saw. I had like a deadness about my eyes, and I just really mourned
mm,
me. I wondered where
mhm,
I'd gone to. And it was a lot of these little things that just really deepened the depressive state I was in, right? It felt like
mm.
my body had betrayed me. I wasn't as capable. My body was changing. I lost enthusiasm. All of these really small things. And it really took a lot of work to go, okay, what's it going to take to just find yourself again, like to be the person you think you can be.
Yeah. Yeah, that you're reminding me of both myself and my husband. He's 15 years older than me. And so just yesterday morning, he was like, you know, earlier in my life, it would have taken me an hour to knock out this whole yard, you know, mow, weed whack and everything. And now he splits it up into chunks, you know, and I can see, you know, the I don't know, I guess the processing of that, but maybe a little sadness or anguish behind it. And you know, so I'm 15 years younger than him. That to me is like potential future, right? So for me, I'm like, what am I going to do about it? You know, that's
Right.
how my brain, and I don't think I've always been like that, but I don't know. At some point, I got to the point where I'm just like, I'm not going to make excuses. And as soon as there's something that maybe isn't going the way I'd like, I I might fester in it briefly, but probably not very long because I'm already like, what's the solution? Like, what can I do? And I set an intention for myself a while ago, 15, 20 years ago, like, you know, because of being a mental trainer and doing a lot of affirmations and hypnosis and stuff. What do I want? You know, and this, so the overall intention for me in my life, of course, I have other little ones and smaller ones, but this to live a long, healthy, active, loving life, right? A life full of abundance and love, but healthy. Like, I don't want to live long and not be healthy, right? And active.
Yeah.
Like, so because I have that intention and I'm really believing, like, I really want that, then my day-to-day efforts are related to that. And if I'm not doing something that contributes to it, I sense it and I feel it, you know. So I think the first thing is to just know what you want. Like, do you want a
That's it.
long,
Yeah.
healthy life, you know, that's active? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when some women, when they're in like the thick of perimenopause, knowing that 75% of women will have an average of 7 symptoms. You only need one symptom to impact your quality of life, right? 25% of those have symptoms that really impact their quality of life. I think I fell into that category. Knowing when you're in that, it's really hard to look forward and go, you know, this is temporary, this is going to get better. And it does though. And that's sort of what I would like to women to know, because if you spend too much time on social media, you will be dreading getting older
Mm.
because of the fear that's surrounding aging and frailty, and this idea that we're not capable of doing um old age unless we're on hormones. That's actually something I hear all the time, and that's not accurate. Unfortunately, that's not accurate. It could be a game changer for some women, but you can live a long, healthy life with or without hormones, right? And one of the best things you can do to live a long, healthy life, and it's like having this quality of life, like you said, is exercise. It's one of the most studied things in science that we know can help longevity. It's not the pills, it's not the potions. I mean, if you think about the supplement industry, it's a dot on the landscape compared to the power of managing stress, having good quality sleep, moving often and
Yeah.
intentionally,
Yeah.
and having a really balanced and healthy attitude towards food. And then to me, the last part of that is the work you do from a mindfulness standpoint, right?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I agree. It's just this morning I ordered a large exercise mat that will go in one of our bedrooms so that I can stretch, because it's one of the things I'm observing in my body. And I've always heard it, as you get older, it becomes more and more important for you to stretch. But now I do Pilates, and there's stretching aspects to that, whether beginning or end or whatever. And I can see how tight I am. And I'm like, no, I'm not having this. Right. And so every fitness instructor I've had has always said you should stretch every single morning. And I'm setting myself up for success in that. Like, to me, and there's something else I've learned about myself, if I don't kind of have a spot that I can go into and leave, and meaning instead of going in, now I got to pull everything out, I got to situate it, got to figure out what I'm doing, because I do have a lot on my plate. One of my spare bedrooms, I had a yoga mat. How often do I have guests, right? So I put a yoga mat and a meditation pillow and some weights, and that's what I'd been using. But now that the stretching is becoming more obvious, I'm like, I need space, Anyways, but I have to.
It's a really good idea though. But and what I often use, I don't coach clients anymore, but what I used to coach them is like, on the days where you have to be self-driven, what are the type of things that will help you? Sometimes it's laying out your yoga mat, like you said. Sometimes it could be just having your workout clothes handy. Another time it could be like, for me, I get up, I have a little Nespresso coffee machine in my bedroom. I get up, I make myself a coffee, and while it's nice, I'll go outside on my deck and I do some mobility drills, right? Just
Oh, nice.
moving. And I want I don't, I did a post once, and I think it was along the lines of, we get up in the morning and we creak and crack like a glow stick, but we don't shine anymore, type thing. And it's sort of like, it's like the noises. I'm like, where have these noises come from? And so I actually, I've tried to make that something that I do, but it also really sets me up for the day. Like, I do
It
feel
does. Yeah.
so much better having that quiet, really focused time.
I This might sound, I don't know, lazy or bad to some people, but it's deliberate and I think very positive on my side. But I don't do anything before 10. Wait, I shouldn't say that. I don't schedule appointments or work related stuff before 10. So I'm going to get up. I'm going to get my Nespresso. I'm going to go sit outside. I'm going to sit in nature if it's not raining. And I try not to check my phone and emails, but sometimes I do. But I usually listen to something inspirational, whether it's an audiobook or something on YouTube. And I deliberately try to just chill out. And that to me is just as important to start my day as doing some of these other things, which I'm going to say are also important, because stretching in the morning and doing some exercises, it's also so good. And I don't know that everybody carves out time for themselves like that.
I remember I wrote about this in my book. There's a phenomena called the we to me phenomena. So, as mothers, maybe not everyone who's listening is a mother, but as women, we have an innate ability to be caregivers, whether it's for our own children, other people's
Mm-hmm.
children, and we tend to put a lot of people before
Oh,
ourselves.
yeah.
And especially going through perimenopause and menopause, when everything seems to be happening to you, and we see sort of like a U curve happening where women start to put themselves first, and if they don't, they definitely should. And because it's sort of like, like, get your own house in order first of all before you look after other people. And I
Yeah.
started doing the same thing when I was sort of at my most symptomatic and not feeling myself. I would get up before everyone else, have a little time to myself. I was living
Nice.
in Texas outside with the birds singing and my coffee, and it really just set me up for the day. And not once did my family say to me, look how selfish mum is taking this time out for herself. No, nobody thinks like that.
No,
We put this pressure on ourselves.
I know.
And so I'm actually the same. I don't tend to do much before 10 or 11, but I don't know if that's because I'm a little bit lazy in the morning. I can't decide. But I'm definitely like, 10,
Yeah.
10 onwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have so many thoughts popping off in my mind, but one of the things you're making me think of, again, just because every woman's so different, I think that for a lot, but not all, they are nurturing or maternal and end up wanting to take care of everybody else first. But you can then add in there something like codependency, and then you really got someone who's wanting to tend to everybody else at the total sacrifice of themselves, which is common. Like codependency is a common thing. And I have two young ladies that work for me. I have many, but the two I'm thinking of, and one has a 2-year-old and one has a 4-year-old. And I watch them parent differently. And one of them, the one that has the 2-year-old, is preparing for her son to go to, she's calling it school, but I imagine it's daycare or something, preschool. And, you know, even will the month ahead arrange for him going to bed early or getting up early. Like, she's very mindful and deliberate about him going to school, and not only for him and his social skills and everything he can learn from it and get exposed to, but for herself. The other one, who has a 4-year-old, is like she doesn't want to let her out of her sight. She doesn't want anybody else to watch her. She doesn't know that she's going to ever send her to school. And I'm watching that affect her. And that the mother is someone has worked for me for 7-8 years. I love her like she's my daughter. And she's making herself crazy with stress and not getting enough sleep and not putting herself first. So the other mother and myself had a chat with the other one. And I use the analogy that I'm sure you've heard of, if you're on an airplane, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on your child. And for some, that doesn't compute. And this young lady, she even said, no, my daughter comes first. And we were trying to explain to her, like, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to even be the best for her. And that's challenging for some people.
That's a hard conversation. And I mean, I've got 2 kids, and I remember being British, living in Canada, and having different ways of doing things. And I used to find the pressure extreme. There would be people whose kids would be still sleeping in bed with them when they were like 4, 5, and 6, and mine was in a cot in its own room at 6 months type thing. And part of me was just like, I feel comfortable doing this way, but people have always got an opinion. People, it's with everything in life. And so she probably just feels like she's doing the right thing for herself. But what happens is we do lose ourselves along the way in lots of different scenarios. And I think that a reminder even to her to say, remember that you're just as important. She might listen to that.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Another thing that came to my mind when you mentioned mothers, and then also rewinding a tiny bit to when you're talking about some of the challenges, even the mental challenges of getting older and all that. Having a mother who is and was, all about beauty and youth and getting attention, and you add in there a little bit of narcissism or a lot of narcissism, like whatever, like the identity of how I look. And so I've watched my mother not be okay with aging, fight it in every possible way, resist it, just all of it, just try to be perceived as younger, as a sister instead of a mother. There was all these things. And I think that also can play a challenge, not only for that particular woman, but also the daughters of that woman, and when I first, let's see if they're shining right now. They're covered up, but when I get, my grays are multiplying, the wrinkles under my neck are multiplying, and even the wrinkles under my neck, it seems like it happened overnight, but I'd lost a little bit of weight, so I think it just became more obvious. But, I've watched myself, because I'm really mindful, just aware, go from, oh my gosh, wrinkles under my leg, and what can I do, and to, like, I can do nothing, months later then it's acceptance, right? It's acceptance of who I am and where I'm at in my life, and feeling beautiful. anyways, or no matter what, or I shouldn't even say it anyways. I don't even like that I just said that. That we're all beautiful, and age doesn't have to be looked at as, I don't know, wrong or bad or
Right.
ugly or
But I
whatever.
mean, your mother may be a product of her age, right? Like, I mean, as in the time of life she was like brought up for sure, because, women were meant to stay at home and look gorgeous for their husbands, and the hair was done, the makeup was done. I mean, it was a different time, right? And then, for us, we grew up in the phase where we would buy things in the supermarket line, and when we went to pick up a bar of chocolate, there was a picture of somebody with cellulite saying how disgusting we all were for getting fat and not living on grapefruit diets. And, like, so, you had that extra pressure of like acceptance from your mum of how she looked as well, and that filters down. I'm sorry, but when people have like disordered body dysmorphia or eating disorders, any of those things, your kids are listening and they're watching. It's really important. But I mean, it's interesting because I remember I seen a photograph of myself when I was 30, and someone sent it to me and said, "I love this photo of you. It's just so real. It captures you." And all I could see were like the crow's feet, and I just was like, "Oh my God, I look awful. I look so old." And I immediately hated this picture. When I look back at it now, I wish I hadn't thought that. I mean, I actually have come onto your podcast now. If anyone's like not watching this and they're just listening, I have no makeup on at all because I couldn't be bothered. And I never thought I would get to the stage where I was like that. I don't care what I look like with makeup on or without makeup on. And I think we've all got our level of like comfort. Like, I don't want to have gray hair. I love coloring my hair, but I don't care that my face has wrinkles or not. I actually don't care. But I try and look after myself from the inside out and the outside in, all of those things. And I don't judge people that want to do Botox and fillers and all of the things. It's up to you. I don't care. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But I hope you're doing it for the right reasons. I hope you're
Right.
doing it because it's for you. Actually, the
Right.
reason I won't go grey is because I have this really like sallow European skin, and I look ill when I go too light, and I think I look better with color.
Yeah.
That's sort of one of the reasons, and it's the same with the shape of our body. Like we're now being bombarded in our 50s with ads like blast your belly fat. Like, there's a doctor who's a menopause doctor that does this challenge 3 or 4 times a year, and I hate it. I hate it because it's so predatory, because it's almost like saying you have belly fat and therefore you have devalued your body. Let's blast it. Let's get rid of it. Instead of saying it's actually a function of like getting older. It's not just women that get it, men get it too, right? And
Yeah.
definitely we see a fat deposit redistribution in menopause that happens, but it doesn't make you less of a person, and it doesn't make you devalued like it's been suggested. And so, where we can have this strong mind about how we want to age, but it's very easy to get sucked into the predatory marketing that's out there.
So easy. And my daughter's 27, and she literally just this weekend was out with her boyfriend. They're out on the town, and she just personally doesn't have breast implants, but has wanted them. And I keep talking her out of it. But she, because I'm like, it's not all glamour. It's not all what you think it is, And so she was out, and she's very mindful and aware of the women that have breast implants. And I guess she turned to her boyfriend and was like, those women have ruined it for all women because they're the ones that men are attracted to. And I was like, Chandler,
That's so
you
sad.
look so beautiful, natural. I'm just going to say I have implants, but I've had them like 20 something years. And if I knew then what I know now, I would not do it. But
But
I
it's
was in a
not even
different,
that. It's not even that I've took away from the message. Implants or not, she believes that, right? She believes that.
yeah,
And I'm seeing in younger girls, teenagers and young women in their 20s that are getting their lips done and their cheeks filled, and they're all starting to look the same, but they're doing it because the ideals of beauty are thrust upon them. You only have to look at the Kardashians, right? They're making it, they've normalized this.
yeah,
And now your daughter is looking at these people going, that's what beauty looks like.
yeah.
And I don't fit those ideals.
And the other thing I've heard her say for a few years is and it sounds like it's a narrative in her age group, at least around here, is to get Botox now for prevention of wrinkles. And I was like, no, don't put that stuff in you now. So, she was saying that at like 24 years old or something, and she knew other girls that were doing it.
Why doesn't she just use sunscreen? I mean, that's literally the best thing you can do for your skin. And that's actually something that I didn't really know about. You know, I was the 70s, 80s kid with baby oil in the back garden, but we had the British summers weren't so severe. I don't know where you were located.
Florida.
I'm Florida. So so it's hot all, and so like it was only like in my like early 40s, and I kept seeing about skincare, and I was like, oh, I'm so lazy, I don't do anything. But I started wearing sunscreen then, and it's like literally the best thing I think you can do.
And the best thing now is getting something like the Yuka app, so you can scan the sunscreen and make sure it doesn't have toxins in it.
I didn't know. It's a
whole nother level. There's so many horrible ingredients in some of those sunscreens. But yeah, there's this app that I use, and it's kind of become popular around here. It's called Yuka, with a Yuko. And you can scan anything, and it will give you the ingredients and let you know if they're toxic, hazardous, whatever. Anyways, so, because that's a big talk around here anyways, is that the sunscreens and making sure you get a good one that's not
I know I follow a bunch of sort of dermatologists, scientists on social media, and I feel confident that the sunscreens are less harmful than the actual sun. That's my opinion, but I actually stock up when I go back to Europe. I love the European skincare, so I just buy it then. And so I just prefer it.
Yeah, for sure. So many things are better over there. Quality of food and everything.
Food. Yeah, I was going to say food. Restaurants, yeah.
Where are you at now?
So I live in Toronto, Canada, and I moved here from the UK. I moved from the UK to Boston for 2 years. I had my first son there, so I have an American son. And then I moved to Canada, where I had my second child, another boy. And then in between that, I was in Texas for 4 years as well. When Trump was president for the first time, so under his first administration. And I actually loved Texas. I had a really good time there. And I think it was probably because I was in my own little bubble. I had a very nice house because you get more for your money there. I had the best gym and pool facility. It was crazy, actually. It was sort of very Texan in the way that it had giraffes and monkeys, don't ask, and a lazy river. But it was actually like a gym and a tennis club. And I had Trader Joe's, and I love Trader Joe's, and you can't get that.
Yes.
So that was, and that was like my triangle, and I just sort of like stuck into it. But yeah, it was nice while I was there, and I love the weather too.
What made you leave Texas?
Well, we went and left purely for my husband's work, right? So he was the driver of it, and so yeah, that was the reason. So, but yeah, we're always up for an adventure. We have a family that likes to travel, and I love America. Like, I think it's a really fun country to live in. We won't go political, but it makes me a little bit sad at the moment to see how things are. But I still think it's a fantastic country. I love the hikes there. I love the nature. It's so diverse in its topography, so I have a lot of good friends there.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a fan also. It's just so big, it's so broad as far as what you can experience being outdoorsy. There's so many different things to experience. And
talking about Florida, my husband we both do open water swimming. I learned to swim at 50. It was one of my big proud moments in my life. I had long COVID when I was in Texas, and it took me 8 months to recover. So I started just going up and down in the pool to cool down and just to get some movement in. And then I was like, why is it that I'm athletic, but I can't swim? I saw these people doing laps up and down. So I taught myself, and within 12 weeks I could swim a mile. I didn't tell my husband, who is like a really proficient swimmer. And he was like, how did that? I've been trying to teach you for ages. I went, we'll never get your husband to teach you anything, right? And so,
Right.
and so then he encouraged me to do open water swimming with him in the lakes in Texas and now in Lake Ontario. But he recently, last year, swam the circumference of the Florida Keys of Key West. It's a 25-kilometer swim and won.
What?
I know. It took him like 5 hours. It was crazy. Yeah.
I'm always impressed with anybody who can do endurance stuff like that, endurance sports.
I'm not very good at endurance. I try. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm like mid-range endurance. Like if I run, I can do a 10K. If I swim, I can do like 2,500 meters. Like I'm better at I want to be the mum at the school day that races the other mums. I'm that mum. I'm not the one that's going to do a half marathon, even though I think I should be able to.
Oh my. Years ago, I dated a guy that did the ultra marathons, I think they were called. And he would run for like days.
Yeah, days. Like the Marathon des
What?
Sables in the Sahara is 2 marathons every day, 50 miles a day.
It's so crazy. I remember, like, I don't know, let's say I'm having my morning coffee. I'm thinking, he's running right now. Yeah, 2 o'clock. He's running right now. Yeah, I'm having dinner. I'm thinking, he's still running, and dinner, I go to the movie theater, watch a whole movie. I'm thinking, golly, he's still running,
Oh, too funny, yeah.
It
You've got
was,
to find the thing that gives you joy. And when it comes to exercise, that's one of the things we often hear in midlife is like, you should do this exercise, you shouldn't do that. There's lots of shoulds out there, right? And I truly don't believe that's the right attitude. As a coach, I don't believe that's how you should talk about exercise because ultimately, about 85% of adults in North America do not meet any exercise standards, like the threshold at all. So we're not moving enough, right?
yeah,
And excuse me, hiccups. And so I'm just really encouraging of women, like find something you like. Is it pickleball? Is it pickleball? Yeah, it probably is because everyone's doing it. Is it yoga? Is it Zumba? Is it like Orange Theory? Just find something that you really enjoy that sort of fills your cup and something that you'll go, I want to do that again.
yeah,
Because and I know as coaches that the trick to building up healthy habits is to do the same thing often, over and over again on
yeah,
repeat. And so that consistency, that continual movement, even if it's just getting out of the house for your daily walk, keep doing it because what happens is something in your mind will go, oh, look how I'm actually finding this quite easy. I'm fairly capable. I wonder what else I can do. Right.
yes,
And that's the trick. When you stick with something and do it over and over again, it makes you feel like emboldened with your body. And what happens during midlife and particularly through perimenopause is women often lose the belief in their own athletic ability. I don't think I can do that anymore. I used to be able to do that. And they don't try. And
right,
that shows up as a loss of lean body mass. Like they actually start to lose muscle mass. And so I'm all about you're probably not moving enough. That's all of us. I'll hold my hand up too. And we need to move more. So what's the easiest pathway into that? You always want to find the easiest pathway.
I love that. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Um, my sister kept trying to get me to go do, it's called dance trance, which is kind of like Zumba or whatever, because she was loving it, right? And she felt like it saved her life even, because at the time she was an at-home mom. She had 3 kids, and very much a perfectionist. So she was she was driving herself crazy with stress. And then she found dance trance. And it just, like I said, she felt like it saved her life. And I went and I tried it a few times because she just, raved about it so much. And it wasn't that I just disliked it. It just wasn't.
Wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me. It was okay. It was nothing wrong with it. I could see why women would love it, but it wasn't for me. And I'm feeling totally, and that was years ago. And I've dabbled in all different things, but right now I feel what you're saying with the Pilates. Like I love going to Pilates. It's on the reformer tables. I love using the reformer table and the full body workout that I'm getting without it feeling too strenuous and without. Yeah. Anyways, but
And it makes
that
you feel
feeling,
good. And
yeah.
what's really interesting about that, you said your sister was super stressed out. And what women don't really take into account, I see this all the time, is that their everyday activities add to the stress load. And one of the best ways to manage stresses, as well as, good breathing, being in nature and meditation, all of those things, is exercise. Exercise actually increases cortisol, which is a good thing because it increases it acutely. And acute, for those listening that are not quite sure what I'm talking about, means quick and fast responding. And when you have acute levels of cortisol, it helps to improve your stress response. So if
Nice.
you're somebody who's really, really stressed all the time and has chronic stress, exercising can help like readdress that balance. And so when you hear people saying don't do HIIT training, it raises your cortisol, it's like, yeah, of course it does. It's exercise. That's what it does.
Right.
But that's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing if you're not recovering well from it. And if you're not recovering well for it, let's look at the big picture. Is everything in are you sleeping? Are you eating like really crappy food? Do you need a break? Do you need someone to
Right.
take the kids? Like,
Right.
have a look at everything. But please don't poo-poo over exercise, because again, we're all different. We all respond differently to things. One of the things I would try and encourage women to do, if I could, is some form of strength training, because honestly, we have so much data to show how helpful that is for longevity, disease prevention, mental health, and all of those things. So exercise and maybe start dabbling in some strength training, and honestly, you're on the right path. And take your time. Nobody has to do it all straight away. It drives me crazy when people want to overhaul their body. And I'm just like, how about you just try it and see how it goes?
Yeah. There are periods of my life where I tried jogging. Say try, because it was like I might have only been able to jog a half a block, and then I'd stop and I'd walk 2 blocks, and then I'd be like, you can do it, Dawn, and then I would do a half a block. And by the next week I was jogging a whole block, and then by the next week or whatever, it might have been 2 blocks. And it's tricky with the mind to not get hard on yourself on that kind of stuff, right? And to be okay with it, to be okay.
Yeah.
If you're, not in this amazing shape that you can run a mile or 10 or 50 or whatever. But it's okay if you can only run a half a block. But if you stick to it, it will be a block the next, few days or something like that. And it feels good to be able to accomplish and do that.
Exactly. Any fitness coach worth their salt will talk to you about progression and how to sort of like plan and train so that you do see improvements, and you shouldn't expect it straight away. It doesn't make any
Nice.
sense whatsoever. Like if somebody came to me and said, I really want to learn to run, I would not sign them up for a marathon and go, there you go, next week you can do the marathon. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
It's so important to again, from my own experience, hiring different people to help me. But I had somebody a year ago that was a fitness, a personal trainer, and her and I didn't jive, and she didn't come in prepared. She kind of winged it. She was looking on her phone while I was exercising. I didn't even know if my form was good or not, because there wasn't actual coaching going on. And I just want to say, they're out there, right? So it's just like anything else. You've got to be selective, and you've got to almost interview or not be afraid to say, this isn't working. And don't sign that contract until, you've tested it out. Because, I think nowadays you could probably even get some kind of certification online in a weekend or something to be a trainer of some sort.
Well, you can. You can. It's very, very easy. I know when I did mine 30 something years ago, it was a diploma at university, right? That's all there was. And now it's like a weekend course. But there are good coaches and bad coaches in every realm. There are good doctors, bad doctors. Yeah, be discerning. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's one piece of advice or wisdom from all your years of experience that you'd pass over?
In relation to what? Because
I know, right?
Wisdom, yeah.
I don't know. First, intuition. What comes to your mind? Like if you could pass on some magic pill to women right now that would help them, what's the most important thing Or no, I
Well,
wouldn't say most important. What's just coming to your mind right now?
yeah, I think I always have the same answer for this, and it's pretty boring, but I think it works. And it's the be informed. Um, when you're knowledgeable, you are then able to advocate for yourself. And what we want for women is them to have autonomy over their health, right? And so there's lots of people giving you unsolicited advice all the time. We hear that all the time. And what I would say is whatever the situation, whether it's pregnancy, menopause, or endometriosis, whatever it is, do like go and try and find out the experts, become knowledgeable so that you then can sort of advocate for yourself. And I think that that's sometimes the missing piece. Don't just do what Dawn did or Amanda did. Actually find out what works for yourself.
Yeah, and so important, and especially with the internet nowadays,
Yeah.
you got to be careful not to just get one side, because there's a lot of, well, you can get, I was going to say there's a lot of partial information. There's a lot of information in general, but you could end up only getting one side. So I think it's really important to try to get a
Agreed.
well-rounded information to help you make a decision.
Yes, I agree completely.
And that's tricky, because some of the one-sided information might be someone that you consider an expert. And so then you're like, well, this person's qualified. Well, so was that trainer I just spoke about. Like you got to really.
And what I'm seeing on social media a lot is that when somebody has a product to sell, and especially if it's a doctor, then I really want women to try and look at this through a critical lens. And it's not always easy to do. But if you've got a doctor that's most of the time giving good advice and then cherry picks data to just sell a product or, try and make financial gain, to me, that's a huge red flag. And that, to me, discounts their other information, because you're then going to have a bias towards, the ka-ching, that like fill in your pocket. And so I just think we're in a world now with social media where you've just got to be a little bit skeptical, and that's okay. And it's okay to say, but really, is that actually what the data's saying? Can you quantify what you're saying?
Right.
It's really hard, and I absolutely hate it when people say, go and do your own research, because doing research is really frigging hard.
Right.
And I'm deep in that world, and I often reach out to experts and say, can you help me understand this, because is this valid data? I don't know. And so we can't keep putting the onus on the consumer or the patient or the client all the time. People with large social media accounts should have an air of responsibility that I don't think they all have.
Yeah, that's out there no matter what, because it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, freedom of speech, maybe. I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah.
I want to tell listeners that you can get some free goodies and opt-ins for any of my businesses, my online courses for stress-free mindful living or wellness, weight loss and wellness. It's at dawngrant.com/free. And Amanda, please share contact information, website, anything that your book. What would you like to tell people about?
Yeah, you can find me on amandathebe.com. That's just my website, and it's access to everything from there, like my book. My Instagram's where you'll find me, though. That's usually where most of my stuff goes at the moment.
Nice. Yes. All right. Well, perfect. Thanks for so much insight and
That was
great
lovely
information.
chatting, Dawn. Thank you
It
very
was great
much.
chatting with you too, and I wish you well, and I hope that we chat again.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Mastered Secrets of Excellence with Dawn Grant. Whether you're an elite athlete or pursuing success in your career or personal life, Dawn Grant's expertise and insights are here to guide you. Don't forget to visit dawngrant.com/free to grab your exclusive free resources, hypnosis audios, mental training tools, and even a golf cart at her club. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow, rate, and share this podcast. Stay connected with Dawn on all social media platforms for more inspiration, tips, and updates. Remember, mastering your mind is the key to unlocking your full potential. Until next time, keep pushing your limits and striving for excellence.